Am I live? I can't tell if I'm live. I think I am. Hello, if you're listening to this. I just wanted to get on here and start bullshitting a little bit. Uh, if you don't know me, my name is Clint Lorman. I'm a writer from Louisiana. I just also like to talk about pop culture things, and I listen to a lot of YouTube. If you may have guessed, I spend a lot of time on here. I've just been started doing this for fun. I've talked about a lot of books and movies that I enjoy, and I haven't watched a lot of new shows. I've been rewatching a lot of the older things that I enjoy, like Sopranos and Frasier and Smallville, and let's see what else. The cartoons that I used to watch, like Ninja Turtles and that. But here lately, I have watched a few things that are really good. Some new things like Better Call Saul, the prequel to Breaking Bad. That I really enjoy. It's almost as good as Breaking Bad. They're just completely different shows altogether, but they're both very very enjoyable. And also, friggin' Stranger Things. That is great. Uh, bef- Before I get into that though, I do want to give uh, a heartfelt rest in peace to James Caan, one of the greats. Uh, I know him mostly from the first thing I'm sure I've seen with him was El Dorado because we always watched that with my dad. We still watch that to this day. It's one of the best westerns ever, and he played a character called Mississippi in that, who kind of just like falls in with John Wayne and the sheriff, and very good. He doesn't use a gun. He uses a knife. Like he just hides it in his big hat and throws it at people when he needs to. Just a very good character. He seems like really wide-eyed and naive, but at the same time he's badass. Like he's really cool. And James Caan was just really good at exuding this calm demeanor, but at the same time you could tell that he could just get up and go if he needed to, like and take some people out. Also, I know he's mostly known for The Godfather. He was in that. Uh, he was really good in that. I watched that. But I also know him from the Las Vegas show. That was really good. We would watch that every night. It came on NBC. I don't know why. I don't see that like on any streaming services. Maybe it's on the Peacock. That's a stupid name for a streaming service, but whatever. But man, our rest in peace to one of the greatest. Such a good actor. Misery. That's a good Stephen King adaptation with him and Kathy Bates. He plays the writer who Kathy Bates plays like his biggest fan. She's completely crazy. She can't stand that he killed the the main antagonist of the novels that he wrote, and she wants him to just like write a new book with her in it. Like bring her back to life. So she just she's completely obsessed uh with these books and this character, and like she has him, at her mercy. Even breaks his leg at one point. And I remember by the end of the novel, he's still like terrified from the experience of being around her. That's how a lot of Stephen King's novels end like that, like with you know a sour note, a dour note. But that's kind of what he's kind of why I like his stuff. It's different, you know. But yeah, Stranger Things. reminds me of the Cthulhu mythos. A lot of the creatures and the situations are similar. You know, people getting either possessed or, coming back to life, or, there's other dimensions, strange, very strange creatures. Vecna is basically just like in the Dungeons and Dragons. He's like an undead sorcerer, a lich, which I think is very interesting. He's a very interesting character. And this guy that plays him, man, he does not age because I've seen him in he was in Camelot as Arthur, and he has not aged a day since he played in that. He was in the Harry Potter movies as Grindelwald, the younger version. It's just like a flashback. Uh, but man, he's a good actor. Anonymous is another good one with him. That's about Shakespeare, about like well, according to the director, the true Shakespeare, who Shakespeare like stole the plays from. But that's just a theory, you know. I don't really uh I'm not really in the camp of that theory. Like, I really do believe Shakespeare wrote at least most of that stuff. But you never know. But man, this show is so good. Like I remember when the first season came out and everybody was watching it. I'm not one of those that's like, I'm gonna wait till the fucking fervor dies down and then get on the train and watch it. I was all in right from the start because I'm like, okay, these kids are like having to deal with like supernatural forces. This is right up my alley. 'Cause I've always liked that kind of stuff, and they're really nerdy. Just I'm not super into Dungeons and Dragons. Like I've never really played the game, but I am into that kind of stuff, like fantasy thing, the books mostly and movies. So the movies they reference usually I get the references. Uh, a lot of 80s references since it is set in the 80s. 80s Indiana. I might spoil this just a little bit for anybody who hasn't seen Stranger Things, but man, it's such a it's a good ride. I'm ready for the fifth season, but it's not coming out to 2024. uh, but maybe it'll be the longest season. I don't know. Maybe that's why my brother was like, "What? Really? You gotta wait to." Oh man, he hadn't been watching all of it with me, but like the last few episodes, I think he got into them with me. Such good characters, and I I really felt bad for one of them dying. I really thought we could have had some more with him, but they were kind of telegraphing his death like throughout the season. Uh, but I really love the dynamics between the characters, the all the subplots. I really don't mind, because they serve the bigger story. Like nobody's doing just nothing. Nobody's doing anything that's like useless to the plot. It all comes together. I think just a few just a few characters I feel like we could do without. Like sometimes they're just there. However, you say that, but some characters that we felt were just there in previous seasons turned out to be like even more important characters in this season. And that could happen again in season 5. We don't know. I heard the Duffer Brothers say that Will was gonna play a bigger part in the last season. Like he was gonna be the main character, which I think would be a good thing because he has kind of been sidelined throughout the whole series. The first season he was like a MacGuffin, they're just trying to find him. And then the second season he's just like the bridge between our world and the other world. And third season I don't remember him being in it much. Um, but Mike was like the main character in the first season because he's the one who befriends 11, more than anybody else. And then it was good to see 11 finally reunite with Hopper. That was and and Joyce finally reunite with her sons. Spoiling a little bit, but you could have guessed all this was gonna happen. And man, Vecna is such a badass. I'm glad he's not dead, not for good. At first, I was saying, "Oh man, they gotta kill this," but at the same time, like, I don't really want to see him go. I know they gotta fight the mind flayer, but the mind flayer doesn't say anything, so it's not. I don't know. It doesn't seem that intimidating, even though it's the giant fucking monster. It's like in Lord of the Rings. You need somebody that's like a person that you can go up against. So Saruman, like they gave more Saruman more of a part in the movies because we needed somebody that we can actually see and interact with. That's still a force of nature. So Vecna serves that purpose in the series. So yeah, he's like the Mind Flayer's top lieutenant, like his general. So I think that's pretty cool. So what this okay. I've been kind of trepidatious to even talk about Rings of Power. It's not. It's probably not going to look anything like. I mean, the trailers don't really look like Peter Jackson's version of the Lord of the Rings, but that's because Amazon couldn't really go that route because they don't have the full rights. They only have the rights to the appendices, which is like 150 pages from the Return of the King. Uh, and it's basically just another little history of Middle Earth, but it's only a piece. So we get some of the fall of Numenor, the forging of the Rings of Power, which don't take place at the same time. I think this show is going to compound a lot of years together, like 3,000's worth of years of lore, uh, all happening at once, which right away tells you like they don't really care about the continuity. They don't care about um, Tolkien's lore, the legendarium. They're just trying to make another Game of Thrones for their service. And what better way to do that than take the what inspired Game of Thrones, Lord of the Rings, and just make their own show about it. They're gonna make. I guess Galadriel's gonna be the main character, and they're making her more of a warrior, which she isn't really in the books at all. She's more of the wise, like trying to think who I can compare her to. You think about the witch from Frick, Dark Crystal, Algra. She's more of like a mediator, a council, because she does serve on the White Council. They're really, um, I want to say they're like I said, they're mediators. They don't they really just give advice to the heroes and the protagonists. They're mostly there to help in other ways. By either giving aid, like she gives all the fellowship the gifts. She gives Sam the rope. She gives Frodo the light of Elendil. She gives the daggers to Pippin and Mary. Gives, um, it's like it's like Santa Claus in in Narnia. He just gives. See, this is another trope from fantasy that the heroes are given gifts by some kind of supernatural deity, something. That's kind of the purpose she served in Lord of the Rings. Was she was this I don't want to say background character because she does play an important role. It's partly her advice and guidance and wisdom that that gives Frodo the strength to go on, and it gives Boromir the strength to resist the ring at the end, before the end. Uh, there's more I want to say about this, and I'm trying to be careful because I don't want to get in trouble. Uh, people will always take what you say out of context, and you know try to make up a narrative. So they are calling it the Lord of the Rings of Power, but it's it's it might be that in name only. It's it's um it's gonna be about it's supposed to be about the Second Age because that's when the Rings of Power were forged, and I saw that Gilgalad's gonna be in this, and he's one of the few male elves that has long hair for some reason. I noticed that. It's a very weird choice. Amazon. Is the elves. Tolkien always described the elves as being very regal, and that's partly why Jackson and his crew like made their hair so long and their outfits really long and flowy, to really give off that vibe. This they have they have experts that help them with this series. Uh, Self-proclaimed experts. We don't know if they really are Tolkien experts. The Tolkien estate. It's his grandchildren, I believe, that head that, and you will find oftentimes when an author has passed and his descendants have inherited his work that they really are lackadaisical with it. They just will sell it off to the highest bidder. Damn the lore, damn, damn the continuity. Uh, as soon as Christopher Tolkien's son passed away, that's when this whole thing was greenlit. Like they just went full steam ahead because Christopher would not have been happy with the direction they're going with this series. I'll just say that, and neither would Tolkien. Tolkien really hated Disney because they would they would take some of his favorite stories and just change them. We, I mean, I know we have such an attachment to these movies. Like, I love Hunchback of Notre Dame, by the way, and it's completely different from the novel. Like, the novel's way darker, and Quasimodo's even way different. But I still love both of them. I still love the novel and the movie. But Tolkien did not feel that way about he was staunchly against taking a previous story and changing it at all. Like, just, yeah, stick to what you know, what how the story went. And he just thought about this world all his life, just never stopped writing about it, talking about it. You know, People would ask him questions, and he'd always have an answer. Like, he might admit to not knowing the exact answer, like the origin of the orcs. He changed his mind on that a couple of times. However, the most widely accepted origin of the orcs is that they were corrupted by Morgoth. They were elves before that were corrupted by Morgoth. That's Morgoth was Sauron's master. If you didn't know that, I'm sure a lot of. So set thousands of years before the events of The Hobbit and The Lord of the Rings, the series is based on author J.R.R. Tolkien's history of Middle Earth. It begins during a time of relative peace and covers all the major events of Middle Earth's Second Age: the forging of the Rings of Power, the rise of the Dark Lord Sauron, the fall of the island kingdom of Numenor, and the last alliance between elves and men. So yeah, the Last Alliance. That's the battle we saw at the beginning of Fellowship, and so and that's the end of the Second Age. So these events, yeah, take place over thousands of years in Tolkien's original stories, but are condensed for the series. Yeah, don't know how that's gonna work out. We got Robert Aramayo as Elrond, a half-elven architect and politician. He goes from being optimistic and eager to world-weary and closed off throughout the series. So, I saw the picture of him. Still don't like that they have short hair. I do not like it. But whatever. It's a different universe entirely. I mean, Amazon still wants you to think that this is part of Peter Jackson's Lord of the Rings continuity, and it's not. Just pointing that out. Yeah, anybody starts watching it thinking that, oh, okay, this is still in Peter Jackson's version, that world, they might get really disappointed really quick. Owain Arthur as Durin the Fourth, who's, I think he's barely mentioned in the Legendarium, Prince of the Dwarven city of Khazad-dûm. That's where that bridge was uh, that Gandalf and them crossed, when they fought the Balrog. Maxime Baldry as Isildur, a human sailor who will eventually become a warrior and king. We met him in Lord of the Rings as well. The writers wanted to explore Isildur's story more than the source material so the audience would feel that it ends in tragedy rather than foolishness. Co-showrunner Patrick McKay compared the character to Al Pacino's Michael Corleone from The Godfather. Well, I mean, the story did end in tragedy, but at the same time, foolishness. I, in the movie, I think they changed it a little bit, where he loses the ring. How he loses the ring, I know the ring betrays him in the movie, but I think he just accidentally drops it in the book. Nazanin, I can't even pronounce some of these names. Boniadi as Bronwyn, a human mother and healer who owns an apothecary. Is that how you say that? Apothecary? I think so. In the Southlands. So I guess we're gonna explore more of the lands of Middle Earth in this. Morfydd Clark as Galadriel, an elven warrior who believes evil is returning to Middle Earth. Tolkien had described Galadriel in her youth as being a strong fighter of Amazon disposition. See, they put this in here to make you think like he had this idea of her as being a leader of an army. That's not what he had in mind. they're just taking what he said, like just little snippets, and trying to justify this direction. The series shows her journey from that point to becoming the elder stateswoman that the character is more commonly known as. See, that was her role throughout most of her life, though, the stateswoman. She wasn't really a fighter. Like the Amazon disposition, that's more of her being a leader, but not in the sense that you lead an army. I mean, like a spiritual leader. Ismail Cruz Cordova as Arondir, a Sylvan elf with a forbidden love for the human healer Bronwyn. See, these are characters that Amazon made up. Like these, a couple of these just weren't in the Legendarium at all. They just made them up for the series. But I guess that's why, because the appendices, they don't really cover a lot of story. It's mostly just historic events. So there's gaps, in the timeline. So Amazon's having to compensate. I'm not trying to make excuses for them because I still think this series should not be happening. Not like this. If you want to make a series like this, then you need the rights to Silmarillion and everything else. Unfinished Tales, Lost Tales, all of it. So that way you can actually use the fucking characters that are in the books. But as it stands though, they're not really utilizing the characters that they have very well. Like they're not giving them the roles that they deserve. Like Celebrimbor, I feel like he's not even going to be in this much, and he's one of um, the main players in this whole thing. He's one of the ones responsible for forging the rings of power. Uh, Another one with short hair. I think he should have had long hair. He looked better in the freaking Shadow of Mordor and Shadow of War game, which I know those games are not at all in with continuity, but I still enjoyed them. I still enjoyed the story and the characters. So maybe Amazon could still give us something enjoyable. We'll see. I'm not entirely optimistic. I've seen the boys, and man, it started out great. The first season was good. I liked it. Second season kind of fell off. Like, just didn't go where I thought it was gonna go. And then the third season, I just could not watch after the third episode. uh, they got too political. I told someone that at work, and he was like, "Well, comic books have always been political, not so blatantly obvious though. Like, you gotta if you want to be political, you gotta find a creative way to weave it into your story without being like super on the nose about it." So this love story between a Sylvan elf and the human healer Bronwyn is similar to Tolkien's love stories about Beren and Luthien and Aragorn and Arwen. Yes, you know that. Beren and Luthien are Aragorn's ancestors. And Charles Edward, yeah, Celebrimbor. Lenny Henry is a Harfoot elder, Sadok Burrows. And I'm not sure if the Harfoot, if the, well, Harfoots are an offshoot of hobbits, but they're just like a subspecies. There's three subspecies of hobbits. I forget the other two, but yeah, Harfoot's one of them. I don't remember if they were around at this point though. They might have come in later. But as I said, they're just compounding all these years together. Simon Merrills as Trevin. It doesn't even say who this character is, like what their purpose is. There's a Brandyfoot, Eleanor Nori, Markella Kavanaugh plays her. Issa, Princess of the Dwarven City of Khazad-dûm. Poppy Proudfellow, a curious Harfoot. Okay, a couple of these characters are described as a curious Harfoot. Okay, that still tells us nothing about them. Are they just all curious? Charlie Vickers as Halbrand, a human running from his past whose destiny is entwined with Galadriel's. Uh-oh. Are we getting another Forbidden Love? Galadriel's with Celeborn, by the way. Like, she's already married by this point and has, I think she has a daughter by this point. But, yeah, no mention of Celeborn anywhere. This guy should be one of the main characters. And I'm pretty sure he is mentioned in the appendices. Shadow. Shadow of the Past. That's what the first episode's called. I think that's a reference to. I think that was a chapter in one of the books, Shadow of the Past. But yeah, you'll see a lot of these videos of this show being ratioed on YouTube right now, just because the Tolkien fans are not having it, man. They can see what Amazon's doing, and they're not happy with it. The It seems like in all the press they've been putting out, they've been emphasizing diversity and not really even talking about the story. Like, it's like uh, that should be diversity should be like the one of the last things on your mind when you're doing press for a show. Diversity's great and everything, but it shouldn't be your main focus. Like, story should be first. They're gonna call. Oh, I know they're gonna call the Lord of the Rings fans toxic, just like they've been calling Star Wars fans toxic. I'm kind of out of Star Wars now. It's like you can't criticize a show or movie nowadays without being called toxic. It's like it's like you either like it or you're a fucking hater. You're a troll. It's like the Wheel of Time fans. I've never read Wheel of Time, but I know most of them that have read the books really hated the show because it deviated from the source material. And that was Amazon, by the way. Like I know I heard they changed the whole magic system. Like like the author had established this magic system where the men and the women have their own kind of magic. Like it's different between men and women. And it's like nowadays you can't even say men and women are different. We're all the same, right? Doesn't matter. The sexes don't matter. The genders don't matter. Yeah, man, multiple storylines, 22 stars. Stranger Things has a lot of characters, but I think they find a good way to balance that. They got them going on different missions. Shit. It's like Star Wars where they had you know Han and Leia and the droids off together, and Luke on his doing his own thing, and then at the end you got Lando and all them, you know, battling. So you got three things happening. That's kind of how I structured my novels. Like I got such a big cast of characters, so I'm like, I got to split them up. This is crazy. Or start killing some off. Dead air, rings of power. The orcs actually look good though. I saw the pictures of the orcs for this, and it looks like they just brought all the practical kind of effects, like Jackson did. That ought to be cool. But are they going to act like the orcs that we've seen? That's the question. I like how rustic they were and like vicious. Like, a lot of times you just see it's like that meme where when the real you comes out. Oh, and the another thing, House of the Dragon. Are we excited about that? Like, is there still a Game of Thrones fever? I feel like it's kind of dead on arrival. I don't know how many people are really excited for this series. Like after season 8 of Game of Thrones, where everything just fell off a cliff. The only thing I really liked from that was the fight between Hound and the Mountain. Like I thought that was badass. I had been waiting to see that, like for a while. And I'm a sucker for this. The imagery, the symbolism of the dragon burning the fucking throne at the end. I thought that was cool. I know a lot of people thought that was too on the nose, and they're like, man, how the fuck could a dragon know that that's why she freaking died, and that's what caused all this? But I always thought dragons were attuned more to, I don't know, to nature and like the human condition than people give them credit for. Like dragon. I always imagined dragons to to be way wiser than they might appear. Like, sure, they're going around killing people. They're going around snatching up cows and eating them. They're like hoarding gold, shit like that. But they actually do have some worldly wisdom to them. In my books, I said this already, but in my books, like all the dragons talk. There might just be one or two of them that are mute, but like they all talk because they're all intelligent. And not to say that you have to talk to be intelligent, but it does help to communicate. I just love dragons. How get on that tangent? But yeah. Oh yeah, House of the Dragon. Right. So we know this takes place before Game of Thrones, like what 1,000 years, something. They were gonna do a couple prequels, like one set 1,000 years, another one like 300 years before. One of them got scrapped. I can't remember which one that one was, but yeah. And then Benioff and Weiss, they went to Netflix. They made a deal with Netflix, and I don't think they've even made anything for them yet. I don't know. J.J. Abrams, same thing. He made a deal with Netflix and didn't didn't make shit for him. Netflix is gonna be in a world of hurt, man. They don't get more subscribers. Something. Get some more Stranger Things on there. Spinoffs. We need spinoffs. Bring Eddie back and have a spinoff. Still mad that he died. Probably gonna end this soon because I'm getting really tired. But yeah, I just wanted to talk about some of this stuff. Uh, Let me know in the comments maybe if you want me to talk about certain things because I've been keeping up with a lot of things both in pop culture and outside, like in political sphere and whatnot. This freaking man, Geiner chick that got herself locked up in a Russian prison for smuggling marijuana over there, man. But she wishes she was back over here now. She was saying all this shit about not playing the national anthem at games and stuff, like because she's not proud of where she came from. Like, aren't you missing this place now? Must be. I would be. Just ironic, you know. Ugh, shit. Anyways, on that note, I'm gonna end the stream.